Melissa, has it ever been part of your recommendations or strategies to tailor a job description generationally? So if you were handed a job description and let's say the person said to you, okay, the target audience we have for this is a millennial, just for the sake of discussion. Would you ever look at a job description and go, well, if it's for a millennial, I may approach it a little differently? Is that part of your thought process and recommendations?
I think that essentially, yes. I've never thought about it that way, but I do think of it as a two-way street. So oftentimes, I have the basic definition and the framework of what the organization needs, but I also leave some room, realizing every individual is different and they're going to have some special talents, and they're also going to have some particular weaknesses. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to fit a job description perfectly. So I'm not looking at, I don't expect to get 10 out of 10 in every category, right? But I do look at it like, well, where can we be leveraging to capitalize on their strengths as much as possible? And also, how does what we're offering in an opportunity appeal and help develop them? So, I'm asking it from that angle too. So I think that, yeah, massaging, I think what you're kind of getting at is, do you massage the job description per the person who may be filling it? And absolutely yes, and from both sides.
Well, I will tell you, one of the best pieces of advice you've ever given me related to job descriptions on the attraction recruiting side was when I evaluate candidates and I look at their job description. So I have, I'm making this up to make a point. I have 10 set things I'm looking for, and they're all in the job description, right? So then I have an initial phone call with someone, and I get off the phone and I used to say, well, geez, they only really have like 6 of these 10. And what you taught me is people get caught up in more like quantity and volume when they're evaluating a candidate, as opposed to, of those 10 things, Mark, which 5 are the ones that are like, they've got to have this skill set, and which 5 are important, but they're more at a secondary level. Mm-hmm. And now I do look at it very differently, and it's just so easy to have this equal checklist of, do they do this, do they do this, do they do this, as opposed to, well, what do I really need? What's most important? What can be taught? Mm-hmm. What can be learned? So I will say that's one of the best tips I've ever got from you on that. And I think it has totally reframed how I evaluate candidates now, because I just feel a lot more organized. I feel like there's a process now.
That's great. Thanks for your feedback, Mark. I think I'd add one layer to that then too, and that is especially for the millennial generation, because they're so driven to take on have new experiences, and they're more focused, I think, than some other generations on that specifically, is that, besides the must-have and the nice-to-have or can teach, I would throw another category in there as from a retention standpoint, and look at what does the candidate not have that they're going to gain as a result of the experience.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because
retention.
Yeah, and I think it's critical what you're talking about, because for the millennial generation, as one of the generations, certainly what skills they're going to develop, how it fulfills a sense of purpose is such a high criteria for them. Whereas if you're a baby boomer, you don't really necessarily care about that.
Right.
So I think that's a great point. I think that's a critical